The first time he rang that evening, I let it go. The second, I nearly answered. By the third, my phone vibrated so wildly it tumbled off the kitchen counter. Answer, you worthless kid, his message snarled. Grab your keys right now. I mean it. I was scrubbing plates when the truck's horn blared out front. Loud, furious, boozy. Jake glanced up from his schoolwork. Is Grandpa coming? He wondered, his tone tiny. My gut twisted. Stay put, I instructed him. I dried my hands and stepped outside, pulse racing. Pops was hunched over the steering wheel, gaze foggy, engine idling. The stench arrived first. Booze, perspiration, bargain scent. You're behind schedule, he mumbled, jabbing a shaky finger my way. I said you'd chauffeur me back. You're already there, I replied cautiously, his expression contorting. I meant the pub. Figure you're above fetching your old man these days. I won't drive you, Pops. You've been drinking. Plus I've got Jake. His switch flipped in a heartbeat from pitiful to explosive. He climbed out, banging the door with enough force to shake it. You believe you can sass me? He roared, closing in. I spotted the bulging veins in his throat, that familiar rage bubbling up like in my childhood. Pops, come on, I murmured. Head in and sleep it off. You're not clear-headed. He seized my arm. Quick, automatic like an old habit. The hold squeezed until I felt it. That faint damp snap of something yielding. I inhaled sharply, but he pressed on. You follow orders or you're nothing to me. He spat, breath warm and rank. You parasitic ingrate. Agony raced up my limb, sharp and overwhelming. I dropped to my knees. He released and lurched back to the truck, grumbling. You had it coming, he muttered, hoisting himself in. You wreck it all every time. I remained on the driveway stones, cradling my arm, eyeing his rear lights vanish into the night. The evening was so still it stung. Returning indoors, Jake stood at the glass, eyes huge. Mama, he breathed. Did he injure you? I forced down the knot in my neck. No, sweetie. I'm okay. Yet my words wavered. He dashed over, circling his little arms around my middle. His fingers grazed the puffiness on my arm, and I winced. The following dawn, Grandma barely inquired. She noticed the wrap, the cold compress, my cautious motions. You shouldn't have riled him, she stated plainly, swirling her mug. He's got a lot on his plate. A lot on his plate, I echoed, tone fracturing. He snapped my arm. She kept her eyes down. He's your dad. It'll mend. I lingered, gazing at her backside. Her composure cut deeper than his outburst. You forever back him, I noted gently. Since he's the one who held this home together, she shot back, wheeling around at last. Unlike you. That midday, I visited the urgent care. The attendant questioned the cause. I claimed a tumble on the deck stairs. She saw through it. Her look said so, though she let it slide. Back home, Grandma was chatting with him on the line. She's blowing it out of proportion, she remarked, eyeing me. You weren't intending harm. I get it. Then softer. She's overly touchy. She always is. That evening, I perched in the shadows with my limb in a brace and replayed every pardon I'd granted him. Every mark, every insult, every sorry that stayed unspoken. And then I pictured Jake. I refused to let him mature viewing this as standard. So when Pop's phone once more 2 days on, I skipped it. And when he appeared at my entrance bellowing, I kept it shut. From within, I caught his thumping, hollering, menacing. But a part of me held firm. Fear had vanished. I was strategizing since now I wouldn't endure in hush. I aimed to render them reliant on me and then strip it all away. The hush following his final door slam was the initial serene noise in ages. It marked a fresh beginning. Over the coming weeks, I donned the brace like shielding. It served not merely as a cue of his act. It stood as evidence of my endurance and my limit on acceptance. Yet Grandma viewed it differently. She deemed it a hassle. You can't brush him off indefinitely, she declared 1 a.m., framed in the cooking area entry with her usual critical head angle. He's your dad. Dads don't act like that, I responded softly. She sighed dramatically. You egged him on. You possess a knack for pushing folks over the edge. Her remark struck like pebbles. Insufficient to scar now, merely to echo her vacancy. I didn't force his boozing, I pointed out. He toils diligently. she countered briskly. You failed to grasp his burdens. I chuckled, sour, weary. His burdens stem from betting, Grandma, from constant defeats and assuming I'll fix them. She pivoted away, murmuring about thankless offspring. Her go-to line, runner-up to you are indebted to us. That same afternoon, I caught her on the call anew. Her tone hushed yet cutting. No, she refuses funds. She's stubborn once more. Yeah, I mentioned it. She'll soften eventually. Hushed further. She invariably does. Then it dawned they hadn't released me. They were merely reorganizing. To them, I wasn't kin. I was a cash machine with breath. I began scheming discreetly. I grabbed additional hours at the eatery. I informed Grandma my wages had dropped. She feigned indifference until discovering Pop's power was cut. That evening, he returned, hammering the entrance. I stayed silent. Grandma responded. Where is she? He demanded, staggering into the seating area. Instruct her to fetch her purse, or else. I emerged from the corridor before completion. Or else what? I queried, voice even. He spun. His cheeks flushed, eyes veined yet a spark. Pause. Perhaps since I stood unshaken now. You figure you can address me thus? You're sloshed, I repeated. He grinned crookedly. I'm your dad. You're unknown to me, I stated. He advanced and Grandma touched his limb. Halt, she urged gently, akin to soothing a tot. She's merely upset. I faced her. He fractured my arm, Grandma. He might have ended me. Her face stayed neutral. And still you're speaking. A piece of me broke. Not in fury, but in insight. They'd never cherish me as desired. They lacked the ability. Control and cash were their sole prizes. So I seized those. I sealed our joint account the next sunrise. All earnings flowed to a fresh one in my title. I shifted Jake's enrollment to a zone nearer my job. I informed my manager I'd handle evenings also. He eyed my arm and queried, Positive you can manage? I grinned. I've managed tougher. Grandma rang that night, livid. What's your move? I'm ensuring my boy never mirrors Dad, I replied. He's yet your dad, she snarled. And you're tarnishing his image. He managed that solo. The following day, they arrived at the eatery. Pops entered initially, sporting a forced grin thinly veiling wrath. Grandma trailed, limbs folded as if proprietor. My colleagues hushed, observing. Chat outdoors, he proposed, straining for composure. Nope, I said, wiping a surface. Speak it here. He bent nearer. You reckon this minor gig shields you? I reckon it liberates me, I answered. His demeanor shifted. The grin evaporated. You thankless, Pops, I cut in, voice low. One more syllable, and I'll inform all present precisely what happened to my arm, ensuring it's your lasting legacy. He stiffened. For the premiere, his gaze held not rage. It held dread. Grandma advanced. You couldn't. I met her stare and said, Test me. They departed wordlessly. But that evening, her message awaited. Her tone quivered. You're destroying this home. You're swaying opinions against us. Someday you'll rue it. I erased it since, for once, regret eluded me. I sensed command. It wasn't vengeance yet, not the overt sort, but it mounted. Each skipped ring, each serene denial, each returned to Jake's grin over Pop's yells. It piled like subtle arsenal. They frayed, and I finally tugged the string. I craved their affection no longer. I desired their dwell in the void they'd inflicted until void was their sole remnant, and I was merely commencing. As cold season hit, their rings morphed to pleas, not from evolution but depletion. It began minor. Grandma appeared at my flat one weekend dawn. Her locks disheveled, her lip color blurred. He's ill, she announced dully. He can't labor. The lender seized the truck. I cracked the door partially. Then perhaps he should have pondered prior to shattering limbs. She flickered, feigning ache. You're clinging to that. I smirked subtly. It's tough overlooking each shoelace tie. She peered beyond at the tiny footwear by the entry. You're not for Jake, right? You're punishing us. I locked eyes. You're correct. She vanished for weeks. Yet gossip spread swiftly. In tight communities, it does. Murmurs arose on Pop's venture being sham, the tavern denying him, his ejection post-brawl with staff. I didn't disseminate. Truth requires no aid reaching ears. One evening, shutting the eatery, his truck sat opposite. I hadn't spotted him since the clash months prior. He exited gradually, slimmer, wobbling mildly, not intoxicated, merely shattered. His gaze met mine by the pane. For my lifetime premiere, he seemed diminutive. He entered silently. Booze aroma absent, swapped for worse. Need. He settled at the bar. Brew. I offered. He bobbed. His fingers shook grasping the mug. Your grandma scarcely speaks to me now. That ought be tranquil, I noted. He avoided grinning. I erred, he murmured. Yet I'm still your dad. I polished the bar leisurely. You ceased fathering the evening. You lifted a hand and labeled it care. He dropped his view. I was mad. You were perpetually mad. I said you at last encountered one ceasing to soak it. He inhaled as if to debate, then refrained. I require aid. He uttered the residence. They may claim it. I nearly chuckled. You refer the home of my youth? Where worthlessness was daily drilled. His eyes moistened. You wouldn't abandon your elder homeless. Eh? I fixed on him. For years I craved this. His tone faltering, ego dissolved. Yet there, joy evaded. Freedom embraced. I'll ponder, I said. But know this, he lifted. Mercy isn't your due. Post-departure, I lingered at the bar lengthy. The server beside queried my state. I assented. Since I was a week on, Grandma phoned anew. He's hospitalized, she rushed. He tumbled. They claim liver collapsing. Her voice lacked feeling. Not alarm, not grief, just weariness. Seeking a visit? I questioned. Yes, she affirmed. It'd signify much to him. No, I countered it would to you, for feigning family intact. You're harsh, she breathed. I mastered from prose, then disconnected. I skipped the ward. No blooms, no inquiries. Next sighting Pops was half year on at the market. He cued after me, gone extreme, clutching a lone soup tin. He stayed mute. So did I. Yet paying mine, I instructed the clerk, include his. Exiting, he hailed. Thanks. I glanced once. For what? I said not for you. For releasing hate. Hate yet occupied my mind, and I reclaimed it. That evening, Jake scaled my lap. Mama, he drowsed. Will we revisit Grandpa and Grandma? I stroked his locks softly. No, darling. Some instruct what love lacks, and post-lesson, further classes unnecessary. He bobbed as if comprehending, though not fully. Years on, Jake hitting 12, I launched a modest garage via savings. It was serene, genuine labor, what Pops claimed beyond me. Debut day, securing, my image caught in the pain. Maturer, steadier, mightier. The arm ached in weather shifts, yet no longer a cue. It was evidence, evidence of outlasting them. Evidence I didn't merely depart. I forced their inhabitants in their crafted void. They sought obedience. Instead, I prompted pleas unanswered.